Hey everyone, my name is David. I'm a product designer at WayScript, and I'm going to show you how to automate Airbnb messages to your guests using WayScript. So my wife and I have an Airbnb in upstate New York, and every time we have a new guest, we send them a message with our house manual inside of it, and so that's the message that I'm going to automate. It's the same for every guest, so it's pretty, and Airbnb sends us this reservation reminder email. And so that's going to be the perfect trigger to send our automated response. The first thing I'm going to do here is go into WayScript, and I'm going to create a new script. I'm going to call it Airbnb reply. So the very first thing that we have to do here is create a CSV file. We're going to use this essentially as a database to store our guests' names. And the reason for that is because Airbnb actually sends us two of these emails, one like 2 weeks out and one like a week out. And we don't want to send the same message twice. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a new CSV called Airbnb guest create file, and then we're just going to have two columns here, subject and email, and we're just going to run this function to create the CSV, and then that's it. We don't really need this function anymore. And so now we'll dig into creating the actual program. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to use a Gmail trigger. And so again, every time an email comes in, WayScript will be notified and pull that email in, and then we're gonna use the variables sender, the reply to address, and the subject. And those are the three things we'll need to set up our program. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to change the default value of the subject reservation reminder, just to be similar to what Airbnb is going to send us. So when we use it later on, it's going to be reflective of that. Cool. Good to go. Then the first thing we're going to do is set up a loop. And so we're going to want to loop over the email addresses, or we're going to loop over those three variables that we just asked for. So senders, reply to address, and subject. And then the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to read from that CSV file we just created. And again, like this, we're going to read from the file, and later on we'll write to it, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. But right now we're going to read from it, and just to see whether an email has already come in for this guest. So we're going to import both these columns, and then we're going to check, say if. We're going to create a conditional statement here. We're going to say if column 0, which is our subject. No, I just want column 0. Contains subject item. And again, we'll write that subject item later. But right now we're just checking if it exists. If it does not contain, then continue. If not, if it does contain it, that means we've already received that email, stop the program, no more needs to be done. So we're going to continue on with the program. The next thing is we'll create another conditional statement. So okay, we haven't received this email yet, but we also want to check and make sure that's the right email, because Airbnb actually sends us multiple kinds of emails, and we want to check that it's the reservation reminder email. So we're going to check that the sender item, which is the index value from the loop, is the same as automated at airbnb.com, because that's the email address that they use to send us these emails. And our subjects item contains reservation reminder. So basically this conditional sets up the conditions to get this email, which is the reservation reminder email from automated@airbnb.com. Cool, so now that we have conditions, we're gonna tell it what to do. So we're gonna say, the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna find out the guest's name. We're gonna use text actions to read the subject. And so basically the nice thing, like this, all these emails are formatted the same. The third word in every email is the guest's name. So we're gonna say, we're gonna split the text into a list. We're gonna split the text on a space, and we'll output this list. And you can see here in our variable, the third item in the list is the name that we set up. And so that'll be useful. We'll use that in a second. And then we're gonna send the email. So let's pull up a Gmail thing. We're gonna go to, and we're gonna say the reply to address item. And that's because Airbnb, for every guest message, sends us this unique reply to address. And that's so you can message your guests via email. And then we're going to just paste in my pre-baked message here. I'll do hi. I can actually address the guest's name. So I can say, hey, or hello, split text list .to. That'll send the email. And then the very last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna use our CSV module, and we're gonna write to that file that we created so that we know we've already sent this guest an email. So we're gonna write to Airbnb guest CSV. We're gonna add to the file, and we're gonna say, we're gonna write the subject item and the reply to address item. Okay, and now we're good to go. The CSV is set up and everything should be ready to go. So the first thing, so now what's gonna happen in my program is I'll get an email. I'm going to get the senders, the reply to address, and the subject from the email. I'm going to read from the Airbnb guest file and to see if I've received this email before. And I'm checking that by seeing if column 0 in the CSV contains the subject item, which I'm writing down here. And then if I have not received this email before, I'm going to check and make sure that it's the right email from Airbnb with the reservation reminder subject. Then I'm going to split the subject into a list to get the guest's name, and then I'm going to send the guest a personalized email with my housing manual and instructions for the place and all that good stuff. And that's it. And then finally, it's going to write and say, I've sent the email. If we get another one, you're good. And that's it. That's how to send an automated house manual email to your Airbnb guests using WayScript. Thanks so much.